since, well, I grew up here since 2004. And they got a nice little 2 acre, just nothing. It's just grass, and it's a nice view. It's just out of the city a little bit, the town Jefferson. Um, Still considered Jefferson, but it's just um, like a 6, 7 minute drive from the town, a little out in the country here. Yeah. Um, and so many people are given way more than they need, and they just can't be content. That's A carnal man cannot be content. There's no such thing from the heart. It doesn't exist. Um, Nor can they have the Father's love, which is the true love, not the love of this world or the devil's love, so called. I'm hoping this is going to sound all right. I'm connected to my parents' Wi-Fi, and it's 5G Wi-Fi, which is basically pretty close to the speeds of cable or hardwired. It's like 90% of the speed or more, I think, is what I've been told. So it should sound okay, I think. I just did a little work, took some stuff to the dump, just came back, and someone I know is here doing something for my parents in the house, so they're good at that. Um, Something with the door, and I don't know what's going on for sure, but I figured I'd go out here and sneak in a video, maybe. But yeah, it's nice here. Uh, that was the revelation, and not just to say the words, but to actually believe it and see it. The whole world was carnal. Now it is carnal still. That's not what I'm saying. But every last one didn't have, and it comes back to this, the law in their heart. See, it wasn't being worked in their heart. And I'm talking about even the saints of old. Even the saints of old were carnal. That's something that religion can't handle to hear. That's wicked in their eyes. How dare you call the saints us? Because they are one with Jerusalem. See, carnal Jerusalem. They're connected. They're of the same spirit. They're all carnal still. So there is no opening of the scriptures to their mind. There's no opening of the scriptures to their mind. They can't see the two things, spiritual and carnal. They cannot see it. So when these truths are given to them, they cannot understand them or hear them, and they will not believe them. They'll refuse to believe it. They can't believe it. They can't see it. How dare the believers today call the saints of old natural, carnal? Remember, connecting things. Paul said natural, first the natural, earthy, earthly. Adam is from the dust. He's earthy, natural, which means carnal. And Adam's naked. He's carnal. The natural thing first, created upright in the image of the Father, see, but the spiritual thing, the heart, that life that was dying, you shall die, and in one day you shall die. 1,000 years is like a day, so just under 1,000 years he lived. It was the process of dying, and this life wasn't available until the tree of life, see, wasn't available until the sword came, the word, which has always been Father's word, is his word, it's who he is. But through a man, though, through the man that represents, and first to actually keep the laws and commandments in the heart, the same ones we read of, he kept them in the heart. He's the first, and all creation has to go through that spinning sword in Genesis. They have to go through that spinning sword in Genesis to get to the true tree of life that Adam, I believe, lost, and that's what we lose like after we're kids, I think, see. And that wasn't available, this true life, eternal life, until Messiah forward, kingdom of heaven. Having this understanding, it answers so many questions and lines everything up, because what life Is Paul talking about what's going on in the New Testament? People, the church world doesn't have the answers. And if someone is indeed yet carnal, they can't see spiritual things or believe them with their heart. So it doesn't make sense to them, the two things I'm distinguishing here: carnal, natural, and spiritual and heavenly. It doesn't make sense and me neither. I didn't have any understanding. It didn't make sense to me. No vision, no sight. The Bible is just some mystery book, but he gets us to at least admit that. See, the religion, you get in it and stay in it, become a member for so long, you believe you understand it. That's the problem. So after a few months, a year, you know everything you need to know. Here's the doctrines, here they are. And there's no growing, there's no understanding, there's no finding gems, treasure. Kingdom of Heaven's like a buried treasure. It's something like that, in that it needs to be dug for. And then, right in the scriptures, it says it's the Father's glory to hide a matter, but the glory of kings to seek it out. There's no point for a true believer where they stop learning and growing. See, when someone believes and understands this, it's a sign that they are learning and growing. But for the carnal man, he sees what he sees, the natural things, and that's it. And this is true for all of us. I was not exempt from this. People are quick to attack and say, "Oh, you're God, you know everything," and that's all I've ever gotten so far, and looks like that's the way it will be from this day forward, unfortunately. And that's not easy, because that's the last thing I think of myself as God. I'm like, that's what I'm against 100%, but they don't believe it though. Whatever a carnal man accuses a spiritual person of, they themselves are that perfectly. And that's what we were too. Hypocrites, see. So the saints had natural blessings and like literal life blessings or cursings, see. And they were saints of that time. But first, the natural thing first, the law, if the law was in their hearts, if it was, we wouldn't read that prophecy in the Old Testament somewhere concerning the new covenant. What is it? Ezekiel or Jeremiah, a couple different few places of this new covenant. That phrase new covenant, I think, is only one time in all of the Old Testament, but there is a few other times that this covenant's talked about. See, it's not the only place. During this, when this starts, he says, I will put my law in their hearts and I will give them a new spirit, and then they will be careful to do it, see, in the heart. If this was true for the saints back then, this wouldn't be prophecy of the new covenant forward, things to come, when that was written. It didn't exist when that was written. It just didn't exist. And when this is understood, it's total insanity what the church world teaches about the destruction of virtually all and the torture of all. It wasn't even given, wasn't even available. He's not trying. He's not waiting for someone to truly put the law in their hearts. The whole point is no one could do that, but it needs to be done. See, no one can knock, and yet it needs to be done first. It's like a riddle. It's revealing self-righteousness and our own righteousness. That was what Paul's talking about there, where his righteousness is being revealed to the saints, and it's going to be revealed to the world. It's just that this is the start. That's when it started, and it starts growing. And then what's exposed is our own righteousness, just self-righteousness, meaning you can do everything, see, and you understand everything. You could do it by your own power. It's that kind of heart, and it can't be done. All of Israel that we read of, the whole point is teaching that constantly. They just couldn't do it. And yet all the natural things that we read of, they are types of the spiritual, but they were always true. The forgiveness of sins, covering of sins, choosing whom he chooses, all the same. every teaching's the same, you know. Faith, these had faith. They did, but they were the natural types of faith. But they had faith, see. It always existed. It's just that thing during Messiah's time being revealed was something with power, you know, a contrast between the carnal and spiritual, heavenly. It's that major contrast, you know, exposing self-righteousness and revealing the Father's righteousness and not our own. And it really is that simple. That's what a carnal man is, and spiritual man is 180, right? Light and dark. It's believing I can keep the law in my heart and do it and do everything on my own versus, no, I can't do it. Got to deny myself. It really is that simple. It's crazy. And of course, there's so much more depth. When a true teaching, though, they're all simple, though. Now, there's a lot more depth in each teaching, but the actual teaching, the concept of whatever's being taught is simple and always is logical and always is orderly and always makes sense. You could go in Isaiah 41 and 42. I was reading a little bit of that. Read it and pay attention to the words. It's always, you know, these things have always been true. The unbeliever, the religious harlot has no understanding, none. And you'll start finding out that the scriptures are perfectly consistent on this. The wicked have no understanding. But see, we read that before and we don't really see it. We read it now and it's like, oh, this actually means literally they have no understanding concerning his truth. And neither did we. So you got to believe those verses. But see, the church world's not believing or seeing those verses. But this is what's hidden. They'll pretend that, yes, I need the Father, but they really don't believe that, because when the truth's exposed, they don't believe it. They get angry. And I've been repeating that a lot, you know, because it's true. Which proves from the heart they don't believe it. But they'll masquerade as believing certain things. Grace, his favor, not yours, not your works or faith, but his given to you. It's not, when it says faith is a gift, it's not of ourselves. See, they say those words often in the church world, but they don't believe it when it's taught the true way, true meaning. I've seen it. They don't believe it, don't understand it. Because they'll mock you for saying, Father's teaching me, Messiah's teaching me, I get truth and understanding from him only. And other believers, they get their truth and understanding so that you can go back and forth between believers, the body. But each one is getting the true understanding, belief from him. See, every confirmation of something that's true needs to be confirmed by him. That's something people, you know, don't understand. I have to add that. It's not to say you can't learn something from another believer, see, but it's clean. They're getting the same truth from above. And a lot of times he uses people to get his truth through someone. We read that in scripture all the time. That's what the prophets do. But everything's really coming from him. See, and then the unclean food is false prophets because they get it from their own understanding or someone else's own understanding or someone else's own understanding of a book they wrote. See how it's all one? It's two different things. That's unclean food for the believer. That's false teaching, false food. The bread, that bread from heaven is food, right? That's what bread is, food, literally. So spiritual bread, the Messiah is that bread. And so then words, truth, are food. It's food, spiritual food. You know, and that's why he said that bread back there is not the true bread, but it is spiritual words and teaching. It's just that time didn't come yet. It wasn't revealed. It was revealed with the only begotten Son of Elohim. Through him firstborn from the dead. I know this is a massive teaching, crazy, you know, to believe this and say this is the truth, that not a single man ever until Messiah was spiritual and could truly see these things and have them in their heart. They were just wild beasts. And then the saints were like, see, they didn't look like beasts. They kept the commandments as they're written, but everyone else literally breaking them, literally making golden calves, adultery everywhere, murder everywhere, all kinds of sin, sorcery, everything. And these things all exist. It's just that it's heart. It's the heart thing that's the focus. It's like that outwardly thing got pushed back a little, got judged and pushed back. So the devil has to hide in the dark even deeper than ever before. So then it looks a little better on the surface because people are hiding, and that's the image of the beast. That's what I found. That's the image of the beast, and I believe it's going to manifest. But see how we can't be like, oh, the image of the beast. We can't be our understanding. False Messiah, image of the beast, mark of the beast. That can't be our only understanding. If it is, then we don't know him. So we have to see that it is spiritual. The mark of the beast. You're marked. You're like one of the devils. See, not overcoming sin. So Cain was marked. And as I've been revealed, I believe there was some kind of actual mark. How this happened, I don't know. But he's a type of the mark of the beast. See, and he was driven out of Eden, the good literal land. So the main thing is the heart thing. This is the true thing. See, the outside doesn't really mean anything unless the heart is being clean. Then it has benefit, has value. Religion is exactly what he destroyed. Carnal Jerusalem. He didn't destroy Jerusalem. It just became New Jerusalem. But he's destroyed carnal Jerusalem. That's that massacre that you could read in Deuteronomy. The longest chapter I know of curses. And the curses are way more than the blessings. I think it's because the blessings it's simple. I suppose the things could have been, you could say more things maybe. But the cursings, I think the reason why they go in more detail and it's more is because just showing how wicked wickedness is. Like these are all bad things that are coming to Jerusalem if they keep on doing this. So that's prophecy of if they keep on doing this carnality, they're going to be utterly wiped out, not just judged and then they kind of come back a little bit and judged again. And this was the total wipeout of carnal Jerusalem off the face of the earth. And you could read that a nation that they don't know their tongue, their language, and we know now these were primarily the Romans, would come in. This prophecy long ago in Deuteronomy. It's people that make fun of long periods of prophecy. I don't believe they're of the truth. They make fun of 1500 year, 2000 year, 2500 year prophecy. It's still going on right now. Deuteronomy, his people, destruction. As a whole, because the many called in Jerusalem are carnal, and they constantly got punished and judged. So this spiritual judgment and punishment is existing now. If someone's blind, they're not inheriting the kingdom, and they're in destruction and they don't know the Father now. And believers see that as very bad. That's very bad. We don't want to go into that. But the carnal man just doesn't know. I'm in destruction. What do you mean? They can't see that. And it reveals a new light on who he is too. Even though these judgments are severe and we don't want to be one of these, going back into destruction, darkness, no belief, no faith. It's such a stark contrast to torturing people for all eternity. It says that he's good to the wicked too, gives them the same rain he gives the righteous, meaning he gives them a lot of things too. And I read somewhere that everyone's judgment, it's not as much as they really deserve. And, so if he were to make it harsher, it would still be a righteous thing. But, you know, mercy triumphs over judgment. So he's on the side of mercy. But there is judgment, though. That doesn't mean there's no judgment. That's what was being revealed. Now, you could see then through the ages, more revelation revealing. So there's still more to come, revelation, because the whole world's in darkness. But this will change. That's going to change. And in Isaiah 41 and 42 somewhere, 40, 41, 42, the Father's prophesying about Messiah, because it doesn't say his name there, but, you know, that someone's going to come and he's going to keep doing justice until evil is vanquished, something like that. See, I read that, which lines up with what Paul is getting from the scriptures. He's going to keep going until the last enemy, till all enemies are under him, under like a footstool, meaning they're not going to be enemies anymore. That's the true meaning. So that's what needs to be conquered. See, the last enemy, death. This is what they don't believe. That's why the kingdom of heaven is a mystery to carnal people. It's a mystery. That's why they teach what the Gentiles teach. You just go to heaven with a bodiless soul, and that's it. It's just who knows then. You know, the kingdom of heaven is thrown in the garbage practically when they teach this. So, what is that? Someone trying to get me with the phone here? I don't know. That's just, it's disturbing. Can't think straight now. See, that's why the wicked love a lot of noise. They're talking a lot. They're making noise all the time. And I'm not saying a little bit of noise is wrong all by itself, but this is like a consistent thing. Messiah goes to a mountain. He needs some peace from all the noise. Go on a boat and get away from all the noise, you know. They're like the waves roaring, making that roaring noise and moving all the time, you know, and there won't be any more sea. There won't be any more roaring noise and wickedness, we read in Revelation. You know, what does that have for the creation itself? Whatever I don't fully know, confidence, I'm not going to talk about. That's the spiritual understanding, you know. The Messiah, you know, has a lot of work to do still. He's got a lot of work to do, and people don't believe it. Throughout the ages, you know, it's going to be vanquished. Evil kingdom, 666. Man is made on day 6, and his book is 66. That's the Bible scriptures, I believe, are the right ones. The 66 books, the true scriptures. Anything else that I've touched a little bit and read, it just, even on the surface, it reads completely different. There's something missing there. There's like a pattern to scripture, even though different books, different prophets, you know. It's coming from the same Father, though, and there's a pattern that I don't see in these other books. But at the same time, he's saying, look, if you take my word and read letters and build religion, this is carnal, and you're going to build kingdoms of the earth that are divided. And sure enough, that's what's happening. Man in his book is 6 and 66, it's 666, you know, and the world is a beast. That's a given. But the harlot is one, rides the beast. So picture the physical picture. They're one. And the religion even has control, some kind of control over it. But the beast is wild and can throw this off, you know. And that's why I believe at the end, he puts that enmity in the world, some kingdoms beastly, you know, and it comes and attacks the harlot. See? Because the devils, it looks like sometimes they're one and they like each other, but they're not. They're all pitted against each other, see? And it says to have one common purpose. He puts that enmity in there to the world, kingdoms, whatever this is exactly, but it's the beast puts that enmity in it, and it goes and attacks the harlot for one common purpose. So what's going to start that? I don't know. Some crazy thing that's always started every, you know. But that's the spiritual understanding is the main thing. They're one. See, harlot, that's true right now. And you could see then, if you could see these things, how it was true 500 years ago. The harlot is one spiritually with the world, loving the world. Is this talking about his creation? No, it's the system, the way the powers that run it and the way it's run. That's the wicked world. It's not the creation itself. Um, and no one's who teaches this in the church world. They can't say everyone was carnal, even the saints. And it sounds like I'm against his word and I'm against the saints, and I'm not. That's how his truth is consistently. It's going to be great revelation of the believer and damnable wickedness, to the carnal man, because it's attacking. The truth is attacking the carnal man. When we say David was just not, he just couldn't do it. He didn't have the true spiritually converted heart. They're not going to like that because they're connected with David carnally. So when you say David, a saint, is carnal, what this is saying is, oh, you're attacking me and saying I'm carnal. See that? But there's people that have taught that David's not a saint and he won't be in the kingdom. Now that's a bunch of, that's heresy, wickedness, wicked teaching. Because the power wasn't available. They were saints and there were few, and this has always been true. There were few, and if you look through the scriptures, you're not going to find where many believers, many saints, many prophets, many kings, many priests. There's just a few. He changes not, changes not. And then mankind doesn't change because he just doesn't have the power. He's the same as yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The Father's the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. And because Messiah is one with the Father, he's the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. If he's not, he'd be carnal. And people use these scriptures to say he's God. And they reject the scripture that Messiah says, I pray for them that they also may be one, just as I and the Father are one, his disciples. So what, I'm God now? Well, they'll claim I'm saying that. But it's crazy, see? It's insanity to teach that, oh, because we're one, we're saying we're God now, we're part of the Trinity. It's a carnal teaching. It's a golden calf, literally, spiritually, though. In Isaiah 40, 41, 42, somewhere in those three, it talks about building the graven images and building them and believing in their gods. It's a consistent teaching throughout Scripture. People make up their own gods. But what's going on in the heart is, see, they believe this God because they made it up. And when other people worship this God, it all goes back to self-worship. It's really that bad. When this is exposed, the darkness gets angry and flees, man. It gets real angry. I've seen it. Because you just touch something that's true. If you don't touch something that's not true, it's not going to stir up anything, When you give truth, that's when the devils jump. See, that's what's going on there. And you know what I've been told? It's crazy. A couple days ago, in a little experience on what I read, I was given some truth, as I was led to my parents when I was over a few days ago. And it looks like I just have to stop for good, because they said, I don't want to hear it anymore. And when they say that, I have to respect that because I already did whatever I said. And you can't keep going, you got to, they don't want to hear it. Well, I said whatever he led me to say. And I believe I have to actually stop because that's not honoring your father and mother, and you're going past the once or twice admonish. But before that was said, they told me, go and torment someone else. Go outside and go out and torment someone else. After I gave them the scripture on the demon-possessed man that says, have you come to torment us before our time? I said that first. Then they said, and I don't even enjoy doing this, man. Um, this is this I don't no pleasure in this at all, but I'm just giving the truth because I know, truth always benefits. After I said that, he said, "You're tormenting us. Go torment someone else. Go torment, don't torment us anymore." Then I repeated that, and still little blank stare for a while, and then boom, just plagues came again, and forget what I said. So it's like, yeah, we're getting along kind of like carnal, there's the real thing's missing. It could be a lot more, but it's missing. And I read that he came to divide father, son against father, daughter against mother. Look at that. That's crazy. When you start lining up with the word and you experience it, you can have a kind of confidence that you're okay. Look, I must be doing what the Father wants me to do. Doing the right things, not by our own power, but doing the right things nevertheless. So this division is that separation of light and darkness. That's that peace he didn't come to bring on the earth now. See, there will be a true peace on earth, but it's after the evil is attacked and judged with the rod of iron, dashed to pieces. See, but this kind of peace is a different teaching. They have their own devil's understanding of peace, the world and the harlot, and they say, "Don't take our peace from us." And I read that. They say we have peace in this place, and because they say that, judgment and destruction by the sword is coming, and that came literally to the prophets of old. Because you say this, destruction is coming by the sword. So who's fighting with his sword right now? The one given to Messiah with the sword. I come and fight against them. Spiritual right now, because the kingdom of heaven, we're not in that age yet. So the kingdom of heaven is within. It's the Father and Messiah in us. This is the age we're in, the kingdom age is yet to come. So this sword causes division, and it causes a spiritual destruction primarily to those that say we have peace in this place. They're plagued. They're in death. They're not doing good. They have to pretend that all the time, and that's what we have to do, until he starts working in us. You start saying, "I'm doing okay. I'm doing good" to people, and they see that you believe it. They're not going to like it. It's sad, man. It's crazy. It's like part of them wants to see that there's some kind of hope or life, but then that devil comes in with wrath and then just takes over and destroys and says, no, because what's going on now is if they see us, someone with light, it exposes them, and then they start thinking about this and going, he's just here to expose. He thinks he is. He thinks, and then they destroy you, try to destroy you spiritually, primarily. See, what got pushed back was the actual literal thing. There's restraint, and what I believe is going to happen at the end is that restraint's going to be taken off, and we'll see how wicked this world really is. It'll be like Noah's day, just wild beasts killing each other left and right. I believe that heart was there all along, but he who restrains, see, I believe he's restraining the evil. He's holding it back from what it always was and still is, but it's on the outside of the cup. It doesn't look as bad as 3,000 years ago. See, and that's I believe that's revelation that I've been given. It got pushed back into secret darkness, and there's restraint on the wicked, the devil, and the power of the devil to restrain some of these things, some of the craziness, brutality. But that brutality is here in the heart, and this is how they kill and attack and destroy. See, that's what the heart thing is, what we're focusing on. So when we read of wolves coming in to kill, destroy, they tear at the sheep. This is what we're talking about. Messiah warned of. These are specifically false believers that do this, the wolves, but the world does this too. because they both have carnality. They're one. But specifically, those that are supposed to be your brothers, they come to kill you. Cain killed Abel. Prophets killed the real prophets. They should be brothers, but they come after you and they want to seek to destroy that life in you. But we know what the scriptures say. If you believe in him, they will not be able to destroy you. And even if you're down a little bit, see, he's going to lift you back up, and they can't destroy you, because they would have to destroy the Father to destroy you and Messiah. They can't take that life, but when that judgment comes back on them, the plagues, it's a deep, dark destruction. And you know what? The Spirit has been revealing and giving me the same things that I read in Scripture. Don't put it on them. They don't, they can't see. Forgive them. They can't see. So you actually truly start wanting not to see this judgment, destruction on other people. See, that takes a miracle to want that. That's a literal miracle, because the natural carnal mind wants destruction, and bad as it can get most of the time. So people can say the same words, but see, one truly means it and the other does not at all. That's why it's real deceptive on who's a believer or not. They'll make a show for praying for the enemies, but if they really love them, they couldn't teach that damnable doctrine, could they? This is what's waiting for their enemies, see? But the truth he's given us doesn't go against us. It lines up with what we're supposed to become. The true teachings are lining up with what they can't accuse the teaching or us truly, because we're not the ones saying my enemies are going to be tortured in fire forever. See, that's what they teach, or just utterly wiped out and destroyed. Line them up and shoot them down and kill them all. That's the second teaching after the first one. It's one of those two teachings that all religion believes in. Isn't it interesting that the harlot cannot teach the salvation of all as a whole? But there are some Judases out there. Okay, as a whole, no one's teaching this, but there are here and there a Judas that walked with some disciples and heard some true teaching, or read it something in a book, or whatever they got it, and there's some that those are betraying Messiah. That's what they do in the end. See, they betray the believers. The disciples didn't know until later, till after the experience. And I had this experience. I believe that's what happened. I didn't want it to happen, but he started showing me more and more. Look, this is what happened. No, it can't be. It can't be. Show me if it's a lie. And he keeps showing me this is what happened. I still don't want it to be true, but I believe it just might be. Where after the fact, a few months later, looking back on, oh, whoa, is this what was going on that I couldn't see back then, but it was there all this time? That they are out there to kill, steal, and destroy too, the Judases, for the love of money and the love of this world, for silver. It's a major teaching. There's some Judases out, because we read of it and nothing changes. So there are some out there. You have to watch out for them. And they truly know not what they do, but they are doing it nevertheless. So see how the doctrine teaches us, we can't have a carnal blame, like blaming them. It's all on them. Everything is them. That's how the world is. Because they do that to make themselves lift up. See, we can call it evil for evil and say true words, but we're not blaming them with a carnal hatred and carnal sort of pointing fingers like a child and blaming. It's all your fault, See that? The doctrine, the true teaching is for us again. because they know not what they do. So when we say something, our intention is not to do what they will accuse us of doing, which is blaming and pointing fingers all the time. No, 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 we just love truth and we want you to have it. No, that can't be true. You must be blaming me. You must be trying to be God and destroying me. Everything they say is what they do. So everything we accused or done is who we are. It's what we do until that miracle starts working in. Hey, Charlie, how's it looking inside? What are you looking for? A what? Soft? Oh, okay. Yeah, he's the one I mentioned in the beginning. He's helping out with stuff that I'm not good at, Um, and and he needs work too, so it's good for him. Yeah, I think that wraps up the video pretty much. You just see people and they don't understand, and they're dead inside, and they'll do things like this. I saw 2 days ago, yesterday, I'm in a store. I was picking up some stuff for what I do for the job right now. All black. It says death on the backpack, and I'm this and I'm that, so you just pity, because, and you also know if you're gonna say something, they're gonna hate it, man, and we're not against them. We're not against them. We want them to have the same things, but they won't see. Most won't believe. So one or two, here and there. So that's why we don't oh, I'm better than everyone. I'll never give. I'll never do anything because I know there's only few. That's some of the discernment looking back that I saw with, a few months ago, the other person. But so believers are used and abused, see? And that's what I feel like has come in their way. Just people just use you. But looks like that's a promise to come, because it says if someone wants to walk a mile, go 2. If they want and ask to take something, give it. See, it's like the sheep are murdered all day long, sent out for the slaughter. Who wants that? Nobody. So anybody doing it is an insane person. See, in a good way, but to the world, insane as in crazy. And does it match the natural thing? Look at sheep. When a wolf comes, what can they do? So they're just standing there waiting for the slaughter, but he protects us. See, he fights against the wolves. Otherwise, they would eat us and kill us and eat us for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in no time. Look at the natural picture. If we're around wolves, how could we be alive still with hungry wolves everywhere? We would have been dead a long time ago, spiritually destroyed. It's true. And that's something that I never saw exactly like that just right now with the natural picture. So the natural picture is saying a sheep is helpless, and if there's wolves around, it's just a matter of time before they get eaten up and destroyed. So if you're not destroyed, it's because he's doing the miracle of fighting against the wolves. He's in control. He'll do something. He'll move them. He'll put fear in them. He'll do this. He'll do that. He'll judge them this way and he'll judge them that way. You can walk in the dark and not fear for your, I'm saying it literally, but to really spiritually though. You can walk in the dark and not be afraid that something's going to gobble you up. Because if something were to, that means he let it happen, and that's the purpose. He said, okay, eat Ryan up, but if it's not your time, it's not happening. not happening. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. I don't know if you need some help or not, but it's no one believes you. It's literal. I don't say this like they'll say, "Oh, you're just saying this to you." You know what? You're a weak little man, and you say and do this, and you say no one has this truth. The whole world's in because you want to be special and you want to be somebody. That's what I've been accused of, and that's what they're going to constantly do. If someone is a true believer, it's the 180. They don't want to be something right now, and they don't think they're something. They're worms, like I read. They're nobodies, but they're becoming somebodies because that's what he's turning them into. Now, I read in 40, 41, and 42 somewhere, Isaiah, it mentions that a couple times. I don't make that up. He turns them into nobodies, says they'll be nobodies. They're going to be nobody, because they need to be brought down low, which means we're brought down low first right now. They need to believe they're nobodies. They will. That's the judgment they can look forward to. They're going to be nobodies for an age, for a time, however it's going to be, because that's happening right now. Second death, lake of fire, they're already experienced 40, 41, and 42. Somewhere in there it says they're going through the fire, but they're not burnt. They're going through the fire and they're not smoked, or they're not burned up. It's somewhere in those three. I read that. They're in the fire right now, but somehow with a miracle, they're not being burned up, like destroyed completely. Like Shadrach, Meshach, the three examples there. Passing through the fire, but not completely destroyed. It's a literal miracle, and he can do that. He's doing that. It's just this heart thing is the primary thing, though. There's no such thing as a believer that's not going through fire right now. It doesn't exist. The fire's for everyone. And Messiah says how I can't wait till the whole earth is kindled with fire. Is that some wicked intention? Oh, I just can't wait till people are burned up and destroyed for all eternity. Is that what he's saying? How come I never hear that verse in the church world growing up? He can't wait till it's kindled with fire. How come they never, ever spoke on that in the years I've been brought up in there that I can recall at all? They skip these things if they don't have a good sneaky way of saying it. If they do, then they can read the words, but they'll twist it. If they don't know how to twist it right now, they'll just skip it. And they'll say, you're afraid of his word. You're skipping. You're not answering my questions. No, they are. The carnal do that. That's all they do all day long is skip the scriptures. I'm not afraid of any verse, and I'm not afraid to say I don't know what this means. See, they are. They are afraid to say that. I'm not afraid. That's all I've been doing. I don't know what this means. Show me more on it, and then I don't think about it for 10 days, a month, 3 months, 6 months. It just comes when it comes. He'll remind you. He'll say, remember this when you ask what this means, and he'll give it whenever he feels like giving it, whenever the perfect time is to give it. That's how all his truth works. There's answers, and no one's asking. Ask and receive, and then he says, if you ask for his spirit, will he not abundantly give it? So that's why I've been saying a crazy teaching, crazy claim. Nobody's asking. He's protecting himself and his truth. There's not people truly asking and not receiving. That doesn't exist. They don't ask. That's why they don't have, because they already believe they have it all. But the believer's path is no, they don't. They're just constantly receiving more understanding. They don't have it all at any point in their life. Never. It's the 180 and they keep giving, giving more and more. So they knowledge they don't have it, and then he starts giving. The healing's not coming. Seems pretty fair to proving so many things from so many different angles. You can speak on his truth like there's just a lot. There's more than anyone can ever speak in their life, a little different angle, little different twist, little different this, add a little here, last time wasn't added. And then that one valuable addition opens up something else, and then it opens up something else. And really, I saw it today with a different, I would have been dead a long time ago if we're actually the sheep, see, and then the wolves are wolves. We would have been dead a long time ago. See that? I know the carnal people won't believe it, but I believe it. They don't need proofs of all these signs that already happen throughout the ages. It's because they're seeing miracles right now. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't want a sign? You don't want to see a great miracle? What don't you understand? That this whole thing has been a miracle. See, they're always opposing 180 of each other, carnal and spiritual. You say I would have been dead a long time ago. The first thing they think is probably literal death, and then they still don't understand further. What do you mean you would have been dead? What are you talking about? And that's frustrating. That's the many, the whole world. Yeah, the sheep are sent out to the slaughter. I read it. They're getting slaughtered, and yet they're not slaughtered. See, they're getting burned. They're going through the fire, and yet they're not burned. It's like a miracle. It's constantly working. It's probably not very good because of the wind, but I think that's all I want to say right now. We're like living in a different realm. So when I read that Abraham was just a stranger, a sojourner, or however it says it there, like kind of what's going on? I don't belong here, and this is like no man's land. They were the examples of this. So it's true still right now. Like I'm standing on this ground, and it doesn't feel like I should. There's something wrong. But that's the way it's supposed to be. That's why. What is it, Peter? He says we look forward to new heavens and new earth where righteousness dwell. And then when Don Preston and people like him says this is the new heavens and earth, and when they say that, they mean this is it, right here, right now. This is it. Resurrection happened. Messiah came already. Therefore, this is the new heavens and earth in the full. Can you see how wicked that is when someone has understanding? You're saying this is the new heavens and earth where righteousness dwells, and all I see is wickedness and brutal attacks every day, everywhere? Must be a blind man, yeah? Must be blind. He makes them blind. It's a punishment. It's a judgment, man. And when they gather disciples, when they gather people, they're destroying them. And then we try to go in here, poke our head in a little bit, and try to, man, a lot of destruction's going on here. What the heck can I do? Well, I'll do whatever I'm given. And then they attack you, and you're done away with, They killed you. You're just some Pharisee or whatever they'll claim. It's what they are. They're that same spirit of the Pharisees. They're the ones that are carnal and make a show for how good they are and religious. It's all backwards. Me, it's being worked on all the time. That's the truth. It's being worked on all the time. It's not as if I'm done and perfected yet. But I'm not of that spirit, man. I'm not that, because I know it's true. You know, I can say that without being prideful. Only because of what he did. Otherwise I would be. See, I would be like, wow, see how many people this man is deceiving? I'd be one of them. Father's showing you this. He's showing you, you would be one of them. If it wasn't by my righteous right hand that plucked you out. Jacob, his people, Israel, they still exist. They still exist. They're just grown up spiritual Israel, not carnal. Isn't it blinding when someone says, a teacher says that, well, King David won't be in the kingdom? You know, anyone like him, all the saints of old. And then Messiah says, you'll see Abraham, Isaac, Jacob in the kingdom, and you yourselves thrust out. Don't you have to be blind to teach that none of the Old Testament saints are in the kingdom? When we have a verse that they read and are very aware of, and yet they still teach that anyways? See, that's what I'm worried about. I don't want to be blind like that. So I say, show me where I'm blind. Show me what I need to know. Because that's some severe blinding, and it's foolishness. You know, and every teaching is like that. It's that blind, telling you the saints are going to be in the kingdom, and you know, and there's some people out there saying that the Old Testament saints, they won't. Isn't that crazy? It's insane. So the devil's kingdoms is like it's like divided kingdoms doing the same exact thing, but some of them have more right words than others, and some of them, they suck in a different group of people. That's all that's going on. A different denomination sucking in people through their lies, slightly different than the next one. You know, the serpent has like a little bit more truth on the surface for this guy over here, but then there's the lies that are always there alongside with it. They're always there. There's always going to be massive, blinding, contradicting lies with someone that's a false prophet. Always, every time. I haven't seen anything different yet. He'll show you the lies and then say, why is this guy teaching this? And then when you expose it, see what they say, they bitterly resist it. And that tells me something's wrong. That tells me they're masquerading too, which is a little harder to believe, that they're also masquerading, because they look more like a called out than the church world. That's what's going on. The wind's blowing strong, my hand's freezing, so I think that's all I got on this one. I think that fits the title, The Whole World Was Carnal, but it still is. It's just that, I mean, like everyone. That was that life that they were missing within that true life, that they didn't receive the promise of the Holy Spirit poured out. They didn't receive that yet, but they're still going to be in the kingdom. You can't say the Father calls them saints and they're thrown in with the hypocrites. That's insanity. You know, that discernment and rightfully dividing needs to be done there. So this person was saying that saints are thrown in with the hypocrites. It's crazy. And they're blinded from seeing that nothing was available back then. He's act like they have to be spiritual back then when it wasn't available. It's insanity. That's not, our Father's not a judge like that, requiring something someone truly can't do. He doesn't require anything that can't be actually done. Give that power. He's saying, be saints, be spiritual like Messiah, you know, that wasn't born yet. But you really can't do that at all. destroy people. That's what's going on. But they're blind, you know. They're so blind they're destroying people while they're stumbling, you know. It's darkness. They do everything in the dark. They can't see what they do. They don't know what they're doing the way they should see it. Picture the natural picture. If the world is in darkness, can they really see what they're doing? No. No, they can't really see what they're doing. John, kind of going back to like Genesis, but the spiritual new creation, the darkness, you know, the light came, the life of light, and that light's in men, you know, his light, and it came, and darkness comprehended it not. It didn't comprehend it. Do we believe those words? You know, what is this what's this declaration, this statement of fact? If someone's in darkness, they cannot comprehend the light. They can't comprehend what you're saying, and they can't comprehend that they're in darkness. See, if they were born in darkness, like we all are, and then they just never have the light, that's all they know. What do you mean I'm in dark? It's all I know. Can't see anything else. Literally. Okay, that's it. I'm freezing. Peace. Seek truth. He can give it. He will give it. People aren't teaching this. You'll notice that this is missing with all the false prophets. They don't compel you to come in by saying, seek truth from our Father and he will give. Seems like that's always missing, isn't it? Strange. It's listen to me only, you know. I'll teach you with the intention that they actually literally do this. Remember Moses, he can't lead people into the kingdom. Moses can't teach someone heavenly things. Messiah has to teach you. And I know that's true. Therefore, I'm not saving anyone. I'm not actually doing that or actually teaching someone. But the Father could be teaching someone through these foolishness of preaching, though. I'm not doing anything. But the false prophet is doing everything. A lot of reading, a lot of study, a lot of books. You know, that's why they all do the same things. They don't teach people that valuable, simple truth. Ask from the heart, not just with lips, from the heart, and you'll receive truth. Can you do it? Can you do it? You know, I don't see it. If it's a false prophet, you know, I don't see that importance in that teaching ever being revealed. It's always lacking and missing. And they'll say words sometimes. They'll say like, God has given me this to show you, right? And the reason why they can't say the Father's name, they just have to say God, is because the devil has given them something to show you, man. It's that blind. God of this world. All right, I'm going to end it. Peace, seek truth.